Recently, I renounced my United States citizenship.
Late in 2017, I decided to no longer be a citizen of the United States.
I was definitely feeling that rut, and the quickest way to get out of a rut is a pattern interrupt.
It felt so good to say that oath of renunciation.
Basically why I'm very desperate, or at least very anxious and looking forward to renouncing my US citizenship as soon as possible.
I could not renounce my US citizenship until I got another citizenship.
Honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot. I can't decide if it's a good idea to renounce my US citizenship, although my instinct is telling me that if I don't, it's soon going to be literally impossible. The exact number of people who are renouncing their US citizenship is actually confidential, since the US government does not publish these statistics. But there is clear evidence that American citizens are increasingly trying to renounce their citizenships, while the US government has been making it increasingly more difficult for people to do so. The fee for renouncing US citizenship has become significantly more expensive over the years. Before 2010, there was no fee to renounce your US citizenship, and in 2010, the US government introduced a $450 fee to renounce citizenship, and then since then, the fee has been raised several times, and as of 2021, it stands at $2,350 per person, plus exit fees, which will depend on how much money you're taking with you. So basically, this is a rise in renunciation fees more than 5 times the original amount in just over a decade, while the number of people renouncing their US citizenship has been steadily but consistently increasing over the years. According to the data released by the Federal Register, in just 2020, a record of 6,707 people renounced their US citizenship, which is a significant increase from the previous year's record of just 2,072. Now, in 2023, it's become nearly impossible. And according to The Guardian, over 30,000 American citizens who have tried to renounce their US citizenship since the government started implementing COVID lockdowns and mandates are still in limbo. These people, plus more now, have been waiting in lines for months or even years for their renunciation paperwork to be fulfilled, and many of these people have zero connection to the US, but were simply dragged into the US tax net because they either married a US citizen, hired a US citizen, or even unknowingly did business with a partner that had US shareholders. As you probably already know, the US is the only country that taxes its citizens based on citizenship rather than whether they've actually stepped foot into the United States. The only country where it is harder to renounce your citizenship is Argentina, which coincidentally has already suffered many of the same issues as us in the past, including government welfare programs that were paid for by the money that their government was mass printing and essentially hiking up inflation and collapsing their currency, as well as their economy and identity as a world economic power. Being a US citizen might be a plus right now because of the most business transactions in the world are being done in US dollars, but my personal prediction is that as more people and businesses move their assets outside of the US, there will come a point where the US dollar will essentially equal zero, because the dollar might be the most widely used currency in business transactions now, but it's most certainly not the most stable currency, and no matter how much money you have as a US citizen, you're already persona non grata at most international banks. When asked which country's citizens were specifically excluded from being allowed to bank in his country, a Swiss banker proudly listed North Korea, Iran, and the United States. Let that sink in for a second. Every empire fails eventually. The US is certainly no different, but it won't fall without a fight, and we are still a ways off from the fall. Still powerful enough to chase after you, their lowest hanging fruit, in order to gather enough money to sustain the exorbitant debt it has so irresponsibly racked up over the years. Those who are extremely wealthy and ahead of the curve will protect themselves, but the majority of people are way too poor to get out of this. That's why here on this channel, the goal is to prepare you guys as much as possible to be safe and protected and to survive as comfortably as possible in the most sustainable way with as little money as possible. The truth is that I'm still very much back and forth on whether renouncing US citizenship is a good idea. But what I do know is that if you're an American citizen, unless you have a lot of money for lawyers and you have absolutely no legal connections with anybody in the United States, no American employees or family members or children or partners needing alimony or anything like that, then it's going to be really hard to get yourself out of the US government's legal and tax net just by renouncing. I've thought about it a lot for myself, and I've decided that for now, because there's so much bureaucratic hassle, high exit taxes, and legal fees that come with renouncing your citizenship, I'd actually just rather wait until I'm super padded and have already cut all financial and legal ties with the US and its citizens before taking the leap. So if you were to ask me if you should renounce, I would say you might as well just try to make your offshore life work for you without spending a whole lot of money yet on renunciation, just to be still stuck in the US tax net just because you have an ex-partner or a relative or random employee that's still a US citizen. But hey, I would also tell you to ask me again in a few years because maybe I'll change my mind about that. If you're still new to my channel, my name is Pardes, and I've created a 12-step financial freedom program for my younger self called House Hackers Anonymous, and it's got everything that I wish someone would have taught me when I was just starting off my personal journey towards financial independence. And you can buy HHA either as a book from Amazon.com or as a course on my website, househackersanonymous.com, and you can access all these things through the description in this video. So thank you for watching this, and I hope that I can someday be a partner in your dreams coming true in life because you deserve it. See you in the next video.